Welcome to another episode of Stowe Nation, a production of Park Media. Before I introduce today's guest, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share, and leave a 5-star review. And if you find this podcast useful in any way and want to pay us the ultimate compliment, head on over to our Patreon page where you can subscribe to be a Classic, Stealth, or Beast Mode subscriber. Welcome back to another episode of Stowe Nation. On this episode, I got to meet Jay and Jennifer Huson at the Hood River Adventure Van Expo. Over the weekend, I got to know these two and found out they have a really great story to tell. We talked about their cats, who happen to have over 10,000 followers on Instagram, what their experience was like working for Nike, how they were able to retire early by using the FIRE strategy, and even a little bit about Jay's band, Mech. And of course, we talked about their Mode Classic, the places that they've been, their recommendations on what to visit while in Oregon, and the mods that they've done. I know you'll have just as much fun listening to these two as I did talking to them. So please sit back, relax, and welcome Jay and Jennifer Huson to the Stowe Nation family. All right, thanks for coming on to Stowe Nation today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
we
it.
are out here at Hood River, Oregon at Adventure Van Expo. And we're basically neighbors because we parked here, right? And
Yep.
So, first of all, you guys just amaze me. You guys both retired from Nike. Your cats have an Instagram, or you have an Instagram for your cats that have 10,000 followers, which is insane.
Yep.
And then you're in a band called Mech, right? And your
Correct.
album just dropped last
October.
Oh, last October.
Yeah, it's been a pandemic release, so yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't even know where to begin. Oh, and plus you have this beautiful, Mode Classic.
Yeah.
Did you name your mode or no?
We named him Lewis.
Okay.
After Meriwether Lewis, the
Oh.
famous, one of the world's famous explorers, at least for the U.S., and then also being a sprinter van, favorite sprinter Carl Lewis. So.
Oh, got it. Well, that's what I associated with was the Sprinter.
Yeah.
So there's so much to talk about.
Oh my.
I'm going to start talking about the cats.
Let's not talk about last night, though.
Oh, yeah. What happens in the river stays in the river, right?
Okay.
But no, so your cats. You guys want to start talking about your cats and what kind of cats, how long you've had them. And then the big question is, how in the world did you get 10,000 followers for your cats?
Well, at Nike, I worked in social media. I helped launch our Facebook and Twitter services, and so I knew a little bit, but it's actually not that hard. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but our cats are Rudy and Clyde. First of all, back up. I can't believe we're talking about our cats. Actually,
Yeah, that's pretty
I don't
hilarious.
let a lot of people know this, and now everybody's going to know it. It's a secret. They speak in their own voice. So Rudy and Clyde. So at Rudy and Clyde, they're Siamese twins. They're Seal Point Siamese, traditional Siamese, which actually are now called Thai cats. The Siamese breed was bred to these more elongated style of cat, and the original Siamese was lost, and now they've kind of come back. I've always had a Siamese. I had a Siamese cat when I was a baby, so that's why we have them now. So Rudy and Clyde are 3, and we have a kid who's 18, and we have 2 3-year-olds now too.
Very true.
So you've had them since they were kittens then?
Correct.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
in 3 years, so what's the genesis of starting the Instagram account for the cats?
I think Jay needs something to do in retirement.
Yeah, I was bored. Yes, yeah, we got them coinciding when we retired, which was in 2017. So, I didn't even realize that people had Instagram accounts for their pets. Our neighbor Fishers had one, and I go, oh shoot, we got to do one for Rudy and Clyde. And I just did a lot of hashtagging and just keep posting, and sometimes you'll get some momentum because somebody may repost. And one of the big ones was Cats of Instagram picked up one of the pictures, and we got like 200 followers immediately.
Oh, wow.
And it just kind of snowballed, but it's it's been 3 years, slow growth.
And also, Powell's Books picked him up one time.
Yeah.
And they
Oh,
were in
yeah.
a Powell's bag, and they, people love books and they love animals. So for Powell's Books, if you're in Portland, Oregon, go to Powell's Books, independent bookstores. Awesome.
So all the pictures are real, but the ones that people really like are the outdoor ones because you put the cats in kind of environments that aren't normal. Like we have a couple in the van, I'm in the van, and then a couple on the beach, and so it looks like they're just these cats that hang out on the beach like dogs, but it's not really that. It's the secret is it's not quite as it appears.
You just happen to get the right moment at the
Yes.
right time.
So, anyways,
So who controls the Instagram account?
Oh, that's all Jay.
yeah.
And everybody thinks it's our son Dominic. He has nothing to do with it. He has his own stuff going on, so he helps Jay figure out the best way to get more followers. But it's all Jay.
We're running out of ideas and pictures, but if we get a good picture, I'll post it. I post maybe once a week now, if that.
Okay. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Are they super cuddly or?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're
What's
like
their
Siamese
disposition?
are known. They're awesome. If you walked in, they'd walk up to you.
Okay.
They sleep on our bed. They're like
Yeah.
little dogs, is how I describe them, like small dogs.
Yeah.
They follow us around. They're very vocal. They talk. They have voices. They have different voices for different things that they want. And Clyde is super food oriented. So we have like puzzles for him and puzzle balls for him to play with to get the food out because gets naughty if he doesn't have something to do.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Kimchi's the same way, so.
Oh, we love your dog, by the way. Kimchi is
Yeah.
awesome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
handful, but he's a good dog.
He's a sweet boy.
Yeah, he is. Perfect size too.
Yeah.
We should
agreed.
we should see how Kimchi and your cats do
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that would go
Probably
too well.
not.
we
unfortunately.
got a cage. We tried it once, and we'll keep trying, but very short trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were telling me that you were trying to get the cats to ride in the van,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How did?
They're very comfortable in their little cage,
Uh-huh.
but once they get out of the cage and they start looking around and seeing these crazy window scenes, they get a little bit nervous. But
They don't like the movement. They need to be enclosed when they're good when they're out, but then we're in and out of the van, so they're not like dogs that'll stay,
Yeah.
but
around.
they would be fine if we're sitting here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
But they're
Yeah.
cats. I mean, come on.
But they're cats.
I've seen some cats that act like dogs. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
We probably should have worked on it. We should have got the van 3 years earlier. Then we would have. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten a storyteller, but
Yeah, that's true.
they would have been more used to it. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a crazy story. I love it.
yeah.
I love it. And so you guys both retired from Nike. That's how you guys met, right? Was
No.
Oh.
That's an even better story.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
best story of all. So, when we were freshmen at the University of Oregon, both our dorms faced Hayward Field, which is a famous track at the University of Oregon. And I was into rock music, and I met this guy, Jack, who was on the same floor as Jay, who's still a really good friend of ours to this day. And he said, hey, I wanted to listen to different music. And he's like, hey, there's this guy across the hall from me. He's really into Rush, and you should check it out. So I went over to his room, and I said, hey, my name's Jennifer. I heard you're into Rush. Could I borrow some music? And he's like looking through his cassette tapes, because this is cassette tape
Oh,
days.
yeah.
And he's like, well, I really think, well, maybe it should be Moving Pictures, but I think I'm going to start you with 2112, but you're going to bring it back, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you really thought I was going to bring it back. But little did we know that Rush brought us together when we were 18 and 19
Yeah.
years old, and we are still together today.
Oh, well, congratulations.
So Rush is Jay's favorite band, and they're awesome.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
So
And
then, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say then how I graduated, got a job at Nike, and then I helped her get an interview, and she got a job at Nike.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So you can read into that as you like.
Yeah.
But
Jay graduated in 4 years, and I took an extra year.
yeah. So
I
we
took
were still
5 years.
arguing who was the smartest
Probably
regarding taking more
me.
time in college, which I would say she wins now. But 27 years later, we both pulled the plug, which was 2017, and
Did the early retirement?
Did the
Yeah.
early retirement.
The whole
yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how did you guys accomplish that? Just saving up and
Yeah. I mean, we started at the bottom. I mean, I made $8 an hour when I first started there, and we both worked our way up, and took advantage of all the corporate benefits, and and did some investing. And then, of course, Nike being so successful, we lucked out with us both working for a corporate 500 type company that was successful. So we're fortunate.
Yeah.
As well as tedious long-term saving,
Right.
and leveraging all the possibilities of maximizing what you can get.
Yeah. There's a book that I read in the early 2000s that kind of just changed my financial outlook, and it was The Millionaire Next Door. I forget who the author is,
Yeah.
but
I read that same book.
Yeah.
Jay basically is Millionaire Next Door because that whole philosophy of that book is how he lives his life.
Mhm.
And he was smartly told me, when I started at Nike, put as much in your 401k as you can.
Mhm.
And we just went, even when we weren't married, and I followed that, and we just saved a lot of
Yeah.
money. It's all about saving
Yeah.
and saving early.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Until you buy one of these.
I know,
Yeah.
and then everything just goes out the
Yeah.
window. But this is why you did all the years of saving so you
Yeah.
could do this, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go live your life.
Yeah.
So you retired as what position out of Nike?
I was our business development director for our consumer services organization. So my team and I were responsible for creating the service strategy for Nike. So Nike.com. So I helped launch our e-commerce site back in '99.
Oh, wow.
When we first started selling online. And then, as times changed and, social media came, new types of contact channels or communication channels, like obviously social media, we needed to have a strategy on how we leveraged that from a service standpoint. Marketing was doing a lot of talking to, but we wanted to engage and have a dialogue.
Right.
And so I helped develop our strategy with marketing on how we actually service our Twitter account and Facebook and such. So we were one of the first companies to get after that in a big way, and like to think that at least now that I've left a little bit of a mark there.
Yeah. Left the place a little bit better than when you found
hopefully,
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Jennifer, you retired at what position?
I was marketing operations director for Advanced Concepts, but really the last big job I had before I left is I worked on the last Olympics
Wow.
in marketing operations, which is globally. So it was awesome. I have worked with some amazing people. That's the best thing about Nike is the people are so smart and talented. So my creative directors, my marketing operations, my marketers, are the best people in the world, and they're just cool. And if you love sports and athletes, it's a great place to work at. So my what I'm good at is organization and strategy about organization, and so I always work well with creative people. My brother is an artist, so I grew up with somebody who could not manage money or his room or his anything.
Be careful, he's probably listening.
Hey Matt, no offense, you're great, but he's really creative and all that. So I think helping have a brother like that and being different than him, and finding that you find what you're good at when you're at that age after you get out of college, like what are you good at, and those were my superpowers. So I'd really had fun working with all those creative people.
That sounds fun. What's your most memorable moment working in the Olympics section?
Oh man, there are a lot. One of the great things about working in the Olympics is you get to work with a lot of athletes. But for me, it was really, we got to go to New York to do an offsite, and they had just asked me to join the team, and I was like, hey, I'm on sabbatical. And they're like, we really like you to go. Keith Hulamard's like, please, could you go? And I'm like, okay, I'll fit it in, but I'm not really supposed to be working. So they allowed me to bring Jay and Dominic, our son,
Cool.
to New York. And I had a room, they got us a room big enough to be able to have Dominic sleep in my room. And so while I was working, Jay and Dominic were running around the city of New York, going to baseball games and stuff. And that's where I really loved about Nike, is they really they supported me as a working mother, realizing I have a family, and the meeting the athletes and all that was cool. But for me as a working mother and being supportive of that was really important. And I think it really helped my career, and I really appreciated that. So it was really cool. We got to go do a bunch of stuff in New York.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So athlete-wise, what's like the most famous athlete you guys have been able to talk to? And I'm talking like,
one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one, shaking hands kind of thing.
Well, I've
let me start with that
Yeah,
one, and
go
then
ahead.
you've got a great
Yeah,
story that
yeah.
you can, but it's not a one-on-one. So I worked on a lot of athlete photo shoots in my younger days, and I
Tiger
worked I worked in Nike Golf, which was a great group, and we did photo shoots with Tiger Woods and Nick Price.
Oh, wow.
Tiger when he first started, when he first
Okay.
came out of Stanford, and
So pre-Crazy Tiger?
pre-Crazy Tiger. And you know what? He, as a young man, was the most professional, very kind, very polite. I remember we would go back and forth having to change outfits. And he was gracious. He would literally just strip down to his skivvies right in front of me and put the next outfit on. No prima donna. His parents, it was, I can tell his parents raised him really well that way. And at one point, though, he had a Rolex watch on. And I'm like, and he's like, oh, I shouldn't have that in the shoot. And I was like, oh, what do you want me to do with it? He goes, oh, just shove it in my shoe. And I looked at him, I go, Tiger, that shoe is more than I make in a year.
Yeah.
So I don't think I can do that. He goes, well,
Watch.
don't worry about it. So then I went over to Greg Nard, who was his sports marketing contact at Nike, and I go, Greg, I can't put this shoe in his shoe. And he's like, well, if you lose it, they'll just give him another one. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll get fired. So I made Greg Nard wear it the rest of the day. So he had two like massive watches on, but he was super nice. And the other thing is I had to go run back and forth to the hole with different things. Like maybe we wanted him to change out a hat or a glove or something. So I'm running over there and I'm ducking because I'm afraid he's going to hit me. And everybody laughed at me. Obviously, I wasn't a golfer because they're like, Jennifer, he is never going to hit you.
Yeah.
And by the end of the time, all the balls were like within a foot of where we had him hit the entire day.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's just that accurate. So
Yeah.
that was kind of embarrassing but funny that I was worried that Tiger might possibly hit me. And yeah,
That would
was
have been
him.
a good story.
That would, yeah. But he was actually very, very nice to work with.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Jay?
Well, I actually quite a feew athlete encounters, mostly just being around campus and stuff. But one of the cool ones, just super quick, and I won't talk as long as hers. Our son got to high five LeBron James. I've walked past Kobe Bryant on the stairwell.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But a couple cool ones. Michael Jordan, during the 1 year he retired and he started to play baseball, he
Yeah.
actually had an office at Nike, and he would go up literally and play pickup basketball because we had a really cool Bo Jackson gym, a basketball court. It's glass,
Oh, wow.
surrounded by glass. I didn't actually get in a game with him at the time, but my claim to fame with Jordan was I made a 3-pointer over him,
Nice.
but it was because he was walking off the court. It wasn't.
Oh, he wasn't guarding you?
Yeah, he wasn't guarding me.
No.
And
That's
I've been in a locker room because teams would go there and practice. So
Yeah.
see NBA teams or soccer or you name it would be
Yeah.
there all
Yeah.
the time. So you just kind of got used to it. It was no big
Yeah,
deal.
you
Yeah.
do. And they at Nike they ask you to treat their employees too. So you don't go up and ask for people's
Yeah.
autograph or talk to them or
Yeah.
bug them. You just leave them alone just like you would
Yeah.
anybody else that comes through.
And Richard Sherman, NFL, we did have him come in and they filmed him actually servicing phone calls in consumer services
Really?
when we launched our Nike Experts services. So if you wanted to get running shoe advice or get some football shoes, we wanted to have, we hired people that were actually like D1 athletes. And so when you contact Nike, you were getting legitimate advice. And so we had Richard come in to, totally authenticate the service experience. So that was cool. And
Yeah.
there's a ton of it.
There's a
we were
million.
there a long time.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a million stories.
But it's been 3 years, so I'm forgetting
yeah.
half of it.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you just remember the great stuff then.
Yeah.
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 That sounds like such a fascinating
Yeah.
job and environment to work in. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's different place now. It's much bigger. I mean, we were there starting in 1990,
Yeah.
and it was it was still big, but significantly smaller than it is now. And so, we were fortunate to be there during some of its crazy days before it got too corporate like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good timing to bail out.
I should have bought stock back in the 90s.
Yeah, you would
I
be doing
know.
well.
The,
Yes.
the other thing that's interesting if you're into business is Phil Knight worked on my floor.
Hmm.
So his main office is when he stopped being, when he changed positions and he was just on the chairman of the board, he moved over into the office that I worked in the Meham building. And I would see him all the time. He'd go up and down the elevator and stuff. And the best stories with him was I came off the elevator, and I worked in the NFL, and we always wear our school colors. So I would always wear Oregon green on, and I was walking up the stairs, and Chris Amon, who was my head of the football division of NFL, he's a big Washington Husky. So he's going up the stairs, I'm going down the stairs, and he's like, Jennifer, about the green, and I just put my hand over my and I was like, I'm loud and proud, Chris, loud and proud. And right then, as Chris is going down the stairs, the elevator doors open, and Phil Knight walks out, and he says, loud and proud. And I said, oh, Chris Amon's giving me a hard time about my Oregon Ducks. And he goes, well, you just asked Chris Amon how his Washington Huskies are doing this year in football. And he started laughing, and he went into his office. I just thought that was so great.
Yeah.
So who is he, just for those that...
Phil Knight is the one who started Nike.
Founder of Nike.
Of
so
Nike.
He's the one that he and Bill Bowerman developed the running shoe with the waffle outsole at U of O. And so he's the one that obviously has some money and has been a big Duck supporter. And the Oregon's new track and field venue and just launched a new science center. He's donated millions and millions to Oregon sports and science and the library and all that. So.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
And he and Penny Knight, his wife, donated $500 million to cancer research. They're trying to get rid of cancer. So they're good people. But you see him at Nike, and it's just like seeing anyone else. And our son one time saw him at a store, and he got to go up and shake Phil Knight's hand, and he looked at his hand and said, I just shook a billionaire's hand. He goes, I'm never washing my hand. And I thought that was pretty great.
That is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wash my hand either.
Yeah.
Like, oh, please turn into money.
Yeah, I know exactly.
I feel like we're kind of Nike PR now. We gotta be
careful. We had a good time. It was a good time. It was a great place to work. I'm not going to complain about it.
All right. Well, that being said, let's transition a little bit. Let's actually talk about storyteller stuff for a little bit. Yeah.
Sure.
So, like most people, I'm sure you probably started out looking at a different RV and then stumbled upon storytellers.
Yes.
So let's start there. What were you guys looking at?
Well,
let me start and then let you talk about the van. So we've grown up, I grew up in Alaska, and we have taken our son in a tent just in a Pathfinder all over, the Western United States, all the parks, national parks. And we got to a point where, if you have a tent, you got to set it up for a couple days. So we go from a tent to this. So you can tell the rest of that story, but it's, that's why we kind of moved into let's travel the world and United States in this thing.
We knew we wanted to, up the tent experience, but we were looking at do we do a teardrop? And this is going years back, teardrop, and we're starting to kind of decide. And time progressed, and we're more successful. Our budget options increased a little bit.
Right.
So near the end, we were looking at the Revel, which was really cool rig. I love the van situation because it's enclosed. I like the fact that you can drive it anywhere like a car. You can park it at the grocery store. So Revel had a cool concept. Certain things I didn't like about it. We're concerned about the space and tightness, and we were talking with Chris Red up at Johnson RV, and but I on Facebook noticed somehow stumbled across Storyteller. Started looking at that, and then coincidentally Chris called, said, hey, we got this Storyteller in. They were the first ones in Northwest to carry him. So we went up and took a look at that. They had it on their property, and Andrew Cooley reminds me, 6 hours of conversations later and questions and stuff, we finally made a decision and switched the Storyteller and joined the family, which coming to this event here is completely proven that we made the right choice. And the fact that you got all these Storyteller owners here agreeing with, their choice was the right one as well, kind of makes us feel better. But it's just a cool environment to see people that are kind of in the same situation as us, but from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
Interested in confirming that we made the right move here.
Yeah, absolutely. Community is the best thing, I think, in my opinion.
And I think their customer service, and they've just been wonderful. Every question, anything that we've had, they've just been really awesome. And it's a great van. I mean, it's so comfortable. It's so convenient. Everything's so convenient. People are like, can you really two people be in there? But they've thought of everything. I really they asked us while we were here, what do you hate about it? And Jay and I were like, we couldn't think of
Nothing
a
really
thing.
major
We
that we
love
can
it. There's
suggest.
there's really not much that we would change. We really enjoyed it.
Well, and the personal customer service that they provide, it's a smaller company too. It's easier. I was just talking with the owner. It's going to be tougher as they get bigger, but coming from the service background, that's something I was very much paying attention to. So,
Yeah.
yeah. What?
If you just hold your mic a little bit
Oh,
closer.
closer.
Yeah,
There you go. it's one of those kick under the table
Yeah,
things.
I'm trying to
No,
get
it's
to
okay.
you slowly.
I'll edit it out.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
No, it's all good. But no, so you went from the Revel to the Storyteller. So what was like, other than Andrew Cooley talking your ear off for six
Well, it's
hours?
me talking his ear off,
Oh,
asking
okay,
questions.
okay.
It
My
wasn't
bad.
him. Well, but I will say, no, Andrew, I think you were equal part of that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Oh, knowing Andrew, I'm sure he
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
But feature-wise, what was the number one thing that made you guys
I think
get the
it'll
Storyteller?
be different for you, but one of the things is just the quality of the build is so amazing. Like, I just think I was telling someone else last night, the finishes in it, the wool, the wood, everything's quality. The latches, to me, those are things that are really important to me. Everything is thought out, how the table works. I love the lounge, Groove Lounge. Like, we have our son has come with us, and he's 6'1", and Jay's buddy has gotten in it, 6'2", sleep on that lounge, and it's super comfortable. It's silly, but the microwave is super convenient. You're going to boil some quick water, or I just think for me, it's the quality of the build, and I think it's that really set over the top for me.
For sure. And then the other obvious thing is the open space. We wanted to. I mean, you're in a van. Let's be honest. It's small compared to, you can get buses and huge RVs that are like living rooms and such. But so maximizing the space is in a small vehicle, relatively speaking, is huge. So not having the walls, but having the flexibility of pulling the shower down when you rarely need it, or the cassette. It was a brilliant design. And then not even having the shelves, the headroom to be able to walk all the way through. Was the big difference maker for us as well.
Yeah, those are two great features.
Yeah.
So where's the coolest place that you guys been?
Well, our plan, because of the pandemic, was changed a little bit. We have a 18-year-old son who took a gap year. He's actually worked this whole time. So we went from, hey, we're going to go out in the van for a month or maybe even 2, go across the country, to, hey, let's go for like 10 days, a week at a time. Let's go see some stuff. So we went to Montana, and we went back through Yellowstone and the Tetons, which the Tetons is one of our favorite places in the world. And it was fantastic. That was really great. And we really enjoyed that.
Yosemite and Northern California, Redwoods.
Yeah, those were separate
around
trips.
Oregon. Yeah, different trips.
We went out to the John Day River, which is we love John Day, Oregon. We joke about moving
Eastern
there.
Oregon.
where the Painted Hills are. If people haven't been out, if you want to go see some great stuff in Oregon, that's a gorgeous part of it. Yeah,
Road
Oregon
trip up
coast.
and down the coast, and Washington too. Yeah, so mostly, fairly local, but we're
Okay.
ready to kind of
Like in a quad state area for the
Yeah.
most part?
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
We want to get back to Utah because we've been there, but not with the van.
Right.
It's down Southern California, Arizona,
Yeah, Idaho.
Colorado. We're talking about maybe Colorado.
Yeah.
And then one of these days we'll do a big long road trip out east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any tips or tricks while you guys are on the road that you can share?
Well, I do all the cooking
Okay.
and food, and you can see, I don't know if you can see our coffee pot there, but the number one thing for us was, how do you make the coffee?
Yeah.
That seems like it's a huge thing, and some people use a Keurig and some people do French press, but you got to boil the water. So we got the thermos, and that's been awesome. So
Drip coffee with
drip
the
coffee
thermos.
because you can turn it off because you have an inverter and you don't want to be running power all the time. You got to worry about your power. So that's been great. And then before I go, I do a lot of prep. The fridge amazingly holds. I can get probably about 7 days worth of. We eat a lot of vegetables and vegetarian food, so I can get a lot in there. But I bake muffins before we go, and I make salads, and I really prep and think about the food that we're going to eat while we're gone. But you're right, you can stop at any grocery store. So, but that's one of the things that I think, tip-wise, if you really think about and read the forums, people are really smart about how they do their food, and we really spend time doing that and being prepared.
Well, that's one reason why we're here. We don't know all the tips yet because we've only been in a year. But just you learn what fits and what packs well. Like we have mountains bikes, but we normally don't use them when we are in the van. But we want to maybe have a bike if we're in town to bike around, or if we're in a campground. So we got these little folding bikes. They fit inside the van, for example, and we got paddle boards that are inflatable. Those are in the van right now.
With the bikes.
With the bikes, we haven't used them, but they're just always there.
Yeah.
If in case.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we don't have anything hanging on the outside to either get messed with, or if it's raining and get dirty and stuff, because we're trying to keep it kind of all inside for now. So stuff like that. But then you just learn, like today we bought stacking wine glasses, with rubber bottoms that don't slip. Just
Ooh, that's
little
genius.
small,
Yeah.
little small
Yeah.
things like that. The RVers that know would know immediately
Yeah.
what you should or shouldn't get. So we're just kind of still learning.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you guys done any mods?
Nothing major, other than I did change out the stereo. This
Ooh.
Mercedes stereo was really poor, and I mean, obviously, you remove the one wire to the center speaker, but that's minor compared to you need to replace the house speakers because they're paper. So I upgraded that and got amp and I'm not a tech geek, but splitters. So the subwoofer's powered separate from the
Oh,
stereo
okay,
system,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's way better, and some sound dampening in the flooring. So that's the big expense. We're talking about maybe doing a suspension upgrade. We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
Because you can go crazy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're not bouldering or anything like that. But
Yes.
what else? No real big major changes other than the stereo.
And that was key because, he's in a band and music is
Mhm.
really important.
Yeah.
Remember the Rush story. So
Yeah.
Yep.
it's
Yep.
really
Yeah.
important for him to have good
Yeah.
music. And a lot of people listen to books on tape in their car. We
Mhm.
listen
Yeah.
to a lot of music. So the music thing was kind of a key. Like, we got to
Yeah.
get that fixed.
Makes or break a road trip.
Yeah,
I mean, it
absolutely.
really does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But coming to this event, if you have a problem with money burning a hole in your pocket,
Yeah.
it's not the place to be, because there's so many things you go crazy on over here.
Yeah.
What are some of the better vendors that you liked out there?
Who's the one that did the thing above the stove? That I love that. What you
Above the
bought me
stove?
that with all the spoons and stuff in it.
Oh, the Overland Gear guy, you mean?
Yeah,
The pouch thing?
yeah, I love
Oh,
that.
the organizer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that to me, he bought that for me because I
That's
do all the
handy,
cooking.
yeah.
That is really great, and I think their products are
Yeah.
quality, really good.
Matrix Integrators in Bend, and I've been talking with them about that suspension thing. So we talked with them a bit, and I've heard good things about them. But we kind of trying to think of any other. Nothing comes to mind.
Well, that's good. A lot of people just want to do all kinds of crazy mods
Yeah.
to include this person, but
Yeah.
but some of the best advice is like don't get mods unless you actually need it, or figure out what you need
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then make your game plan. So
Yeah, a lot of people do these permanent storage things in the back, which are really cool. I've gone the convenient, simple route of just getting the Home Depot $10 15-gallon boxes. You can fit 6 of them in there, and maybe later, if you figure out what you really need or want, you can switch that out. But that's a easy way to have simple storage that costs nothing, and then learn as you go. Like you
Yeah.
said, that's a good advice.
yeah, it is. So since you guys did travel around the Quad State area, where did you guys stay? Like, I'm looking for tips for others that are like traveling in the Pacific Northwest, as far as like campsites or boondocking sites or anything like
So
that.
Jay likes to boondock, especially in towns, because Jay's grew up in the city and he loves to be in town and try out all the brew pubs and then stay the night. So I'll let him speak a little bit more to that. I like to camp where I can have a fire. But I don't want to be at a camp, like an organized RV campground or anything. I like to be where, like, maybe it's like a primitive campground where there's pit toilets and maybe that. Because normally you're near a great lake, you're near a river. They put those campgrounds where and I like to hike. That's one of the reasons I like to be in the van is I like to go out and hike a ton. Training to hike South Sisters with a girlfriend in August. So that's the kind of stuff I want to do. So those campgrounds, BLM campgrounds and stuff. And those places in general, we have never had a problem. We never make reservations in general. I would say 90% of the time we do not have a reservation, maybe 95.
Even in the COVID area?
Even COVID was even easier.
Really?
People weren't out. It doesn't have electrical or power, if you just go to to a more primitive campsite with just a pit toilet, people don't use those anymore because everybody needs power. And with this, you don't need power. You can go anywhere. So those are a lot of the sites. Those places are a lot of the places that we utilize.
Yeah, but we're not going on the weekends. We got to be careful.
Yeah.
There. But we mix it up, and we've joined Harvest Host. So if you want to throw in kind of a civilized deal, there's some pretty cool options there.
Yeah.
I'm a member just recently for fun of the Elks, so I've boondocked at some of the Elks lodges. They're usually right in town, so that's cool.
They have RV hookups, don't they?
Yeah,
Or
some of
something
them
like that?
do. Some of them do.
Maybe about half of them, yeah. And they're really nice. It's a funny the story why we're doing it because we have a friend's dad. We went out to Heppner, Oregon a ton. Our friends Dwight and Kathleen. Kathleen's dad was a member there, and that's kind of the only thing to do in Heppner. So the boys, her dad Mike just recently died, so we can't get in anymore. So Jay and his best friend Dwight.
Well, sort of
decided,
as an honorary thing, but but as it turns out, there are an Elks practically in every town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an option. So Harvest hosts that, and then boondocking, and then the campground things. We kind of change it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So less boondocking than I'd like because we just haven't. We're still learning. We've been.
Right.
I've got some suggestions from folks at this event. So that's more. That's stuff we're looking to learn more about.
Yeah. So if someone's coming to Oregon to come visit, what do you recommend to go visit?
Well, it depends on what you want to do. Like, if you'd like to go to towns and see, I like to go to small towns and explore those things. So, Bend's not small, but there's a lot of great brew pubs, like in Hood River here, Bend.
And in the Bend area, you have the Cascade Lakes. You have so many great things. There's great skiing there. There's great mountain biking, Phil's Trail. There's just a ton of mountain biking there. There's you have the Deschutes River going through, so there's paddleboarding and floating in the river. So it's a great, and that you have Sisters, you have Smith Rock in Terrebonne. Climbing. It's a mecca for outdoor. If you like the outdoors, it's a great place to go. And then you can go even farther out in Oregon if you want to get away. You have like we were just talking about, we went to John Day and
Baker and
the Wallowas.
Joseph,
the Wallowas is beautiful. So there's so many beautiful things, and the coast of Oregon is really beautiful. You can go to southern Oregon coast or the northern Oregon coast. We love Astoria, Cannon Beach. Netarts Bay is amazing. It's outside of Tillamook, where they have the famous cheese factory. But if you go out from there, the main road doesn't go into Netarts, but you go out there and there's the bay, and they have crabbing. You can crab and break kayaks out there, and we do that and paddleboard out there.
But right here in Hood River, the Columbia River Gorge, obviously, with incredible hikes and waterfalls. There's whitewater rafting, and one of the two greatest places in the world for parasailing and windsurfing, Maui and Hood River.
Yeah, kiteboarding is here. Wow. This is one of the best places. Yeah. Hence the wind yesterday. The wind yesterday that was so windy here. Yeah. That's why people live here.
Constant wind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. You guys taught me a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. You have to stay in Oregon for a while.
I know, right? Yeah. No, Oregon. Well, I grew up over in Washington, so I'm familiar. But I never really ventured down to Oregon because as a Washingtonian, you're like, ugh, the Oregon people.
Yeah, I know. See the Washington Huskies. That's
yeah.
I'm a Coug, so which is actually
I
worse.
I like the Cougars.
Yeah.
But anyways, to switch topics again. Let's talk about your band.
Oh,
Neck.
Yeah.
So
I got my product placement here.
I see that.
Marketing.
Right, and then on the door, I don't know if it shows in the.
Is that why you open that? Okay. Awesome.
But so what not position. But,
yeah.
I'm talking sports now.
Yeah.
What instrument do you play?
I play bass guitar. We're a rock band. So we played in the 90s. We kind of reformed this about 4 years ago. Played grunge rock-ish in the 90s, played around Portland, and then got back together and carried over some of our lighter material and got new material. So alternative rock, I don't know.
And it's original. You play
all original music. We don't play covers. So and we play a gig maybe quarterly, of course not pandemic.
Right.
So rock, pretty or modern groove, alternative type of rock with a little bit of hard edge depending on the song.
Yeah. How long have you guys been playing together?
Well, we formed in like mid 90s
Okay.
And then we played around town for about 4 years or so.
So this is something you've done for like 20 plus years.
Yeah,
then. Okay. I didn't know
right.
if it's like on off, on off.
It had been on and
Okay.
off, but we've been on now for the last 4 years. I actually just got a notice that our gig 4 years ago, I think was our first one when we kind of got back together. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
um,
You guys, and over time, you guys would get together and write music.
yeah, we still
and
hung around, but nothing real serious.
Right.
So we put together an album and actually released it to pretty much every streaming service, like hundreds of streaming
Like
services.
Spotify?
Yeah, Spotify,
Apple Music?
Amazon, Apple.
Okay.
You can Shazam us if you're hearing our song, and you should. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty much any music streaming service you can download it. So that's Mech. We're Mech, MECH. That's our initials. Messing Erickson,
okay.
Clark Houston. Although the drummer,
has changed.
we didn't change the name. We said, sorry, man, you can't. We're not going to change the name because of your name not matching. But a Mech. But you have to look us up under Mech the band under
okay.
Facebook or Instagram.
Okay.
And then the album's name is
Days Around the Sun. So if you search for Mech Days Around the Sun,
Okay.
you should find us on all those
All right.
services.
I'll put the band stuff in the show notes. So-
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No. And then the guys in the band, they're all interesting dudes.
Yep.
Trevor, the drummer, is a physical therapist, and he's a Canadian.
Canada. So we're international.
We're
We're a diverse
international.
band.
Yes, a diverse band. Talk about a little bit about the other guys.
Yeah, and then Matt, our lead, he's was a recording engineer, has a studio in his house, so he's got the playability, the songwriting talent, but also the talent of understanding how to do all this electric equipment. And we were talking about your mics and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
familiar with it, but he's really familiar with it. So.
Yeah.
Which is fortunate to have that in the band.
Yeah. and he plays lead guitar.
And he's lead guitar and does part of the
Singing.
singing. And then Sean is our lead singer from Goble, Washington, up near St. Helens.
Okay.
And
Sean Clark.
he's Sean Clark, and his family's into music. Trevor's been a drummer all his life, so we all have it in background. They picked me up last second, and I'm the Ringo Starr of the band.
The other funny story about the band is Matt Messing's wife, Kristen Messing, has been my best friend since we were 10 years old.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So when we joke about when we were 10 playing basketball growing up,
Yeah.
we were like, wouldn't it be really cool if we got married and our husbands were like really great friends and they were in a rock band
World
together?
famous rock band.
So,
yeah.
and here we are today. So,
There you
yeah.
go.
So, and Matt and Kristen are both from Juneau, Alaska, and I grew up in Juneau, Alaska. So we're
Okay.
all Alaskans. So, yeah,
Nice.
they're a great group of guys,
Yeah.
and they write great music, and I think their lyrics are amazing, and it's fun. It's just really a fun thing for them to get to do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Are you going to try to go to any of the mode meetups?
Yeah, absolutely. I really wanted to go to the one in Utah, but we just couldn't fit it in. So this is actually our first
Okay.
kind of. I mean,
That's
this is
cool.
not a mode meetup, but it
It kind of
is
ended up
because
being.
there's what?
Well-
How many are there? 10, 20 of them?
Oh, I don't know. It's all community driven. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm hosting one in Montana in mid-August. But
Yes.
the reason why I ask is if you go to one and you bring like a band member or two or the
Yeah.
entire thing, like you guys could totally perform. That
I-
would be
I've-
sweet.
I
Yeah.
thought we could probably, with the power of the
Oh,
Volta
yeah.
system
Yeah.
here.
Well, Jason
complete-
Waldsmith does it.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, whole band with amps and PA systems.
Mhm.
I think you could pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the retired. The other guys are still working, so I'd have
Oh,
to
okay.
drag them away and plan
Gotcha.
it. But yes, I've thought about that.
yeah,
That would be awesome.
so
It would be
cool.
really cool.
But you guys are such a great, fun
Yeah.
couple. I've had an amazing time getting to know you guys over the weekend, and thank you again for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah.
I've learned so much about your cats,
Yeah.
you personally, and it sounds like you and your storyteller are going to go places here shortly. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't.
It's the
Yeah.
best decision we ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom's 80, and she's like, this is the best decision you'll ever make because you just can't get time back. So enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wise words.
Yeah.
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 But we want to thank you and the folks we've met here and the storyteller crew that
Yeah.
we met for the first time. Like I said earlier, it kind of solidifies that we made the right move, and we hope to do more of these in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to end every podcast with one question,
Uh-oh.
and that is, dun dun dun.
So,
Yeah. What does it mean for you to be part of the Stowe Nation community?
Go ahead. You want-
I think it's being able to spend time with people, like-minded people that are very open to being to all people. I think that's really wonderful. Like that's what I've seen this weekend, is that like people are so inclusive and caring. And I think we need more of that in the world. I think it's more love in the world. And I just feel a lot of love and caring from this community. I'm more of a sensitive soul, as you can see. Jay wouldn't say that, but I do. I really think that's important in the world, to show a little bit more kindness and love. And I feel that from this group. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, this is sort of a new experience for us. And so it's interesting. We all cross-sect with the storyteller, but we come from all these different backgrounds. So it's just cool to meet new people from all over the country.
Yeah.
Just this weekend, I got, added 6 new contacts to my, phone that I know I'll be reaching out to, and vice versa. Sharing ideas and boondocking spots or tips or recommendations on where to go. It's really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on to Stonation, and I can't wait to see where you guys end up.
Yeah, and thank you. And we can't wait to see where you end up next, too.
Yeah. Me neither.
That's the fun of the storyteller.
I know, right? Stonation is a production of Park Media. The executive producer is Younghwa Kim. The audio engineer is
Stephen Grasso.
The marketing director is
Guillaume Golson.
The original music and artist is done by
Jason Walsmith.
The sound designer is
Lorenzo Indriano.
And the webmaster is
Peng Shi.
Without any of these people, this podcast couldn't happen, so a big, huge thank you. And a big, huge thank you to you, the listener. If you like this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. This is Younghwa with Stonation, and I can't wait to share the road with you.